What's up? I'm the Inksmith, and today I'm here to talk to you about why you should become a game master. First of all, let's give a brief summary of what a game master is for those of you just being introduced to this wonderful hobby of tabletop role-playing game, also known as TTRPGs or pen and paper role-playing games. The game master, also sometimes referred to as the dungeon master, is pretty much the ruler of the game. They are the end-all, be-all of the world that the players, also known as the PCs or playing characters, are introduced to and will play quest after quest in. It is your job to create that world, to put them in a setting that they will enjoy, explore, and find many a quest in. Once you've created this world, you're controlling everything from every character they will talk to every monster they will battle. This involves a lot of prep time, a lot of creation, and a lot of great storytelling skills that will seriously improve not only your creativity, critical thinking, and presentation quality, but so many more aspects of your life. Let's get into the top 10 reasons why it will do that. Alright, let's jump into reason number 1. It will help you build a group up and form friendships or join a community. And this is, I think, something that is vital these days. I think a lot of people have kind of gotten shut inside or locked into their own rooms or become sort of reclusive in this very internet-based society, and post-COVID, it's very hard for some people to get out there and interact or make new friends. I see more and more videos popping up every day on YouTube that says, I'm this amount of years old and I've never had a real friend in my life. Let me tell you, the community around playing role-playing games and tabletop role-playing games are all about friendship, community, conversing, communication, and getting to know people on multiple levels and seeing what makes them tick, forming bonds, creating communities, and, kind of getting out to those places that don't exist anymore. We call them third places. And when we say third places, this means places that used to exist more when I was a kid, like the arcade, a skating rink. This doesn't happen anymore. No one goes out to those places. Even malls are closing down left and right because Amazon's taken over everything. So getting out there and having real life conversations, there's not really much of a reason for it anymore. But luckily, tabletop role-playing games gives you that option. There's a reason you're going to meet up at your local game shop, at your local comic book store, at a coffee shop. Maybe even, I've heard, libraries will host games like this and have conference rooms that allow you to play your role-playing games. Or just coming over to a friend's house and setting up at a table, eating some snacks and having some drinks and a few laughs around a gaming session. This will bring back a lot more communication in your life. It will help you build a group of friends which you may eventually find you have an unbreakable bond with. You will go through harrowing moments in these quests, and all through the parties and groups and characters that you make with them. And as a game master, you're the lead of all these situations and need to be involved in every single situation that happens with this party. You will be able to form a strong community, and the best part about it is, as the game master, you get to do this over and over again and meet more and more communities and more groups and more players and form more and more bonds. So that's number 1. Let's get into number 2. Number 2, speaking and presentation skills are gonna be leveled up. Let me tell you, when I first started being a DM or a game master, whichever you want to call it, back in high school, I was a bit of a shy dude. I was that lonely little goth kid in the corner. And now I'm the well-spoken, extroverted goth kid because I was a game master. And the reason for this is you have to gather together a group of friends, which may eventually be rotated out with a group of brand new players who you might just meet at a game shop or a comic book store or even online. And you will begin to not just be comfortable with this small group of friends that you're presenting a world to, but eventually many, many other players who you don't know until the first day that you start that game. And you will find your voice and be able to speak not just in a way that tells very dull, boring information or reads out lines. You will be presenting multiple characters using multiple voices, expressing yourself with multiple emotions and a bunch of different descriptions as far as traps, monsters growling in the dark, room descriptions, and everything else. And this will really diversify and broaden the horizons of the portfolio you have to make speeches. Your portfolio of speech ability will go far beyond even someone who is a public speaker, because they don't usually get up there and do a bunch of goofy voices and stuff like this. It's going to expand into territories that other public speakers have never even touched on. And because you're getting into these different goofy voices or using different characters or describing different situations, your versatility will be off the charts, making all of your presentations and anything you'll ever present in the future not only checked by those around you who you've presented your game to and your world and the characters you've made in your mind, but allowing you to critically think and constructively criticize your own ways of presenting stuff and think about the best way your characters and players perceived them in the past, and you will then know how best to present even better in the future. Number 3, critical thinking on the fly. There are times in your life where critical thinking and thinking fast will save you. And let me tell you, as a game master, that's the name of the game. There's many, many times where the characters, the players, the people playing your game, the playing characters, whatever you want to call them, will make decisions where you're like, oh, I did not plan for that. Or you have a massive campaign built out, you've got a huge storyline, and they decide they want to go chase an entirely different lead. And maybe eventually you're going to curve around that lead back into your storyline, but now you've suddenly got to come up with a way to be able to do that right here in your little brain. That means you're suddenly adding new characters, new settings, new environments, and things like that, and your brain's got to go quick to do it. You can't sit there being like, oh, hold on, you usually already have everything set to go, and any good game master will tell you, be prepared for your playing characters to completely go off script, and that will severely improve your critical thinking and thinking on the fly and thinking fast. Number 4, let me ask you a question. Have you ever wanted to become a voice actor? Maybe you're a theater nerd. Do you like drama? Do you want to get better at improv? One day, would you want to be a stand-up comedian? Well, guess what? If any of these was an answer of yes for you, you will be using these skills nonstop, especially the improv skill. Woo! Yes. You will also be using the voice acting skill a ton as well. If you have any wish to improve any kind of skills like this, you will be able to do it, and nonstop. I'm telling you, there are ample times and reasons and situations all throughout gameplay where your skills will be pushed to the next level. Just look at how Critical Role works. Who are the main people that come there to play the games with Matt Mercer? It is voice actors, and there's a reason for that. Their skill meshes really well with Dungeons and Dragons, and your skill as a game master will also mesh or be improved drastically in all these different categories of drama, acting, voice acting, improv, and stand-up. You will be pushing these to the next level. Whether you want to or not, it will be a skill that you will level up, and it will be worth it. Let's move on. Number 5, it will raise your confidence and it will lower your anxiety. I think all of us have heard the statistic of the 2 scariest things people are afraid of in life is death, of course, and speaking in public. And that was true for me too. I had to take speech class in college, and even at parties, I was a bit of a wallflower. But when I got my first few chances to actually be a game master and be in front of a group that was there because they were interested in what I was talking about and the world I was presenting, it really built up my confidence. And it also lowered my anxiety when I realized no one is going to stand up and scream at you to shut up when you're doing something like this. And there's even times where you will meet people at those parties or have a time where making a speech about your hobby is accepted, and there's people who want to be there and talk to you about it, and you can talk with no end about your favorite things. And it will build up your confidence in having just even those polite little conversations outside of the gaming world. But it is also a huge boost that when you do have this amazing time telling your story as a game master, first of all, your confidence is built up a bunch when you get through a full game, and your anxiety just pretty much disappears once you see your players enjoying it. And it can even end with a sense of euphoria. I'm not saying this happens every single time you play. You're not, lifted to this great high every single time. But there are times where games end and you will feel like you are glowing, that you are so euphoric that it went so well. You watched your players absolutely enjoy what they were doing, and you yourself were able to deliver a story or campaign in just the right way that you wanted to. It is probably one of the best feelings, and I would recommend it to anybody. Number 6. This is probably, I think, one of the most humble aspects that people don't talk about, but I think also one of the most important, is it will make you a better empathetic human. It will make you a better reader of emotions. There are so many times at the table where your players will struggle to make a choice because you've given them a dire situation and you've explained either a trap or maybe an ambush or some sort of calamity that's befallen them while they're in their quests. And they will have to have a discussion, and they will be worried, and they will be troubled by what you have put them into. Now, it's all in fun, and there's no one actually about to get hurt, but you will definitely start to see different expressions form on their faces, and you will start to be able to read their emotions when you put them in certain situations. And as you play with this group more and more, you'll start to notice all these different body language forms of communication. And if you know anything, and I know I do because I taught English as a second language and English for 15 years, most communication is done 80% through body language and only 20% through actual speaking. And this will build up your ability to read body language and be more empathetic towards people and understand how they are feeling simply by looking at them. There is one saying that is always passed around the gaming table, and that is, if you see the game master smiling, be very afraid, because usually they're cooking up some sort of wild plan or wild attack or trap for your party. But there are many times where this also goes for the players. If they're smiling, they might be ready to jump something pretty awesome on you. Be ready for it and be better at learning how to read emotions and empathy through this wonderful hobby. Number 7. It's going to leave you with some incredible memories. And I think a lot of people would consider this the most important part of being a game master, or even being a playing character as well. The memories that it will leave you with are just... there's some really good memories. Man, oh man, I could go through story after story right now, but this would become an entirely different video and waste maybe a little too much of your time. But I can tell you, when you sit around a table with friends like this and build a community like this, and then meet other players or other game masters who have done this, and you can sit down and discuss some of the goofy, funny, scary, sad, awesome, amazing, heroic situations that you have created or characters have created, it's such a great thing to trade. I mean, these are like trading serious war stories. These are like trading serious adventure stories that you will have in your memory forever and will keep you coming back to the gaming table. Especially, I would say for me personally, even when I'm feeling down, when I can go back to some of these memories and recall them and then get back into gaming and jump back with a bunch of friends and have more of these memories built up, it really lifts my spirits. It keeps me kind of out of any sort of dark depression because I know I can always go back to these and make more of these memories that are fun and outside of the realm of this goofy, crazy world we live in, where sometimes things can be pretty dire. Instead, we can jump into these fantasy worlds and build these wonderful memories that don't have any negativity attached to them. There might be some times where you have some parties where negative things do happen, but even those turn into laughable stories later when you get to exchange them with other game masters. Build bigger, better, and awesome memories through becoming a game master with the worlds and players you play with. It'll be such a great part of your life. Number 8, it will help you with problem-solving skills, but even more importantly, people-solving skills. There's gonna be some people you run into who approach things far different than you ever planned for. And because you will meet these people, your brain will have to work with new synapses being connected in order to work with these people, against these people, or for these people to allow them to do or not do what they want in the game and world you have created. And this will definitely help people skills. And I mean, this will help you on levels that you never imagined, where maybe you might even be in a business situation or a full-time job situation where you're working with a customer, a client, or a fellow peer at work. And now you know how to solve the problem or people skill problem that you've suddenly run into because you've done it at the gaming table in a fantasy situation where no absolutely insane negative things can happen. It's just a game. But you've had a chance to already go through this kind of scenario, but maybe it was in the Delvark forest next to the Deep Cloak goblins instead of being, at work with Gary being a jerk. Okay? It's great to solve some of these things in a game and learn how to use those same people skills in life. Build bigger, better, and awesomer people skills that will help you outside of the game even and make you a better peer to work with. Now, this one's going to sound a little bit contradictory and kind of bring up the same thing I talked about in, number 1 with building or joining a community. And that is getting outside of your comfort zone. Now, you're probably going to say, hey, you just said in the earlier stuff that it's going to lower your anxiety. If I'm getting out of my comfort zone, isn't that building my anxiety up? And that's not quite what I'm talking about. When I say getting out of your comfort zone, I'm saying you usually don't just hop online and try to control a game. This is going to be something very new to you, but something that will force you to absolutely update and level up all these skills. But also it will help you make new skills from what you've had to do and create that you never imagined or planned, because it is taking you out into a zone of creativity and a zone of gameplay that you've never been in before. It's a whole new experience outside of video games, outside of reading, outside of any other creative thing or gameplay that you've ever been in. It's different from even reading a choose your own adventure. I know some people have compared this to books where you can choose what happens in the book. It's not like that, because anything can happen. You can allow players to do anything, and it will put you outside of your comfort zone because you need to think of a resolution for those. That's not saying it will build you up with tons of anxiety, but it's just putting you in a situation you've never been through before, because game mastering is so unique. It's not something a lot of people do. You probably aren't going to go to your job and find every single person's Saturday hobby is being a game master. So if they ever had to do it, they would also be out of their comfort zone. Does that mean they would be super anxious and scared and worried? No, it just means it's putting them in a totally new thing, and that's what we hope to do with you becoming a game master. Add something new to your repertoire of what you can do within hobby games. It's gonna be awesome. Don't be afraid to try it. Please, the number one thing I say to everyone who wants to try it, don't get hung up on rules, don't get hung up on instructions, don't get hung up on all these different crunchy numbers you see in these books. You own this world. You control this world. This world is yours. Make it however you want. Make the rules however you want. Bend them, homebrew them. Do whatever you need to make the game fun for you and fun for your players by jumping out of your comfort zone and presenting what you've made to them. Okay, the final one, number 10. And I think this is the most important. And this is why I kind of push a lot of people to get into this. Because I see creative people out there who don't have an outlet for their creativity. And if there is one thing, number one thing that being a game master will do, is it will push your creativity into a realm you never knew existed. Are you a writer? Are you an actor like I talked about in some of the earlier skills it will build? Are you an artist like me who draws everything that they imagine for their world? Are you a world builder? What kind of creativity do you have? Everybody has some sort of creativity. And even more so with the people I see play these games. I've never met a really super dull, uninspired, never created anything playing character or game master. Almost all I have met have some sort of artistic hobby, whether it be sewing, knitting, metalwork, woodwork, clay, anything, any kind of medium, anything. They have some sort of creativity they do. They sell something on Etsy. Almost every single person I've met in this hobby has something on Etsy. You have something that you are creative with, and this will push it to the next level. If you're a storyteller, guess what? When you have people playing in that story that you create for this game, you're going to see things in your story that you can improve, that you can make even better, or maybe things that you thought were kind of so-so ideas, but once your players started to interact with it, you realize like, wow, this actually can go a lot of places with what they've done with it. If you just sit around doodling little pictures like I do, you might realize, wow, I could add this to a world and make it even bigger. I can start to add all these little doodles to a world and become a world builder. I can take all these little snippets of writing I do if I'm a writer or an author and slowly add them into a setting or into a campaign or into a multi-tiered story that my players can play with. You'll also be able to get some of the best constructive criticism for whatever you are creative with because you'll see it interacted with by players on another level that you never expected. There's ideas I've come up with that I thought were the awesomest idea ever, and then I realized, they were a little bit cringe, and maybe I could pull back on being such an edgelord with some of them. There were other ones where I thought like, well, this is kind of good for a filler or some fluff, but then when my players interacted with it, I thought, wow, I never even thought of somebody messing with it in that way. I've got to add this into my world. It will allow you to execute and level up every single sort of creative skill you will ever have in your life. Painting, you can see paintings I've done, you can see illustrations I've done, there's tons of writing, I've got books and notebooks, even this one right here, filled up with tons of stuff about anything that I've added to this world I've been working on for 10 years for my campaign. It has used every single creative bone in my body to create this world. And it's been a blast. It's been one of the most fun things I've ever participated in my life. And that's why I'm making this video. I want you to have more fun, and I want you to do it through being a game master. There are so many playing characters out there. There's so many people who want to play their first game. But there's so many people afraid to take on the role of a game master. And I don't want that to be you. I want you to be the leader. I want you to take charge and lead that first game that allows players to get into this. There's so many people who need a game master. And if you're afraid to do it, don't, okay? What do you need to become a game master? Nothing at all. Any resource you might need is probably already free online. There is a free version of Dungeons & Dragons, a brief rule set for you to grab. There's one of my favorite games, Dungeon Crawl Classic, that has all the brief rules for the Dungeon Master to get into. They're a PDF you can just download. And how are you going to do it? You're going to do it any way you want to. It's your game. Someone might have written a setting or written some rules, but it doesn't mean you need to use everything in the setting or the rules. You can completely take control of that and make it yours. I started out where I only understood the most basic aspects of Dungeons and Dragons, as in like strength, dexterity, wisdom, intelligence, constitution stuff. That's all I understood. I knew that you rolled a couple dice and you came up with a number for those. and then I just tested them against rolling a 20-sided dice to see if my players were successful. I didn't understand how combat worked. I didn't understand how this thing back when I played called THAC0 worked, which I won't even get into here trying to explain that. I didn't understand how any of it worked. There's games like Shadowrun that have so many damn rules in it that you have to roll for recoil on a gun to see how you're going to aim at your next target. I don't try to learn that rule. That rule's insane. I just play the aspects of the game that I enjoy. I enjoy the role-playing and story aspects of games the most, so I mostly have players who like to role-play, who like to get into character and really tell what they're doing and explain it. Once in a while I have them do a check with some dice rolls and stuff like that, but I kind of get rid of all the really hard crunchy rules because I know how to play creatively and create stories and allow my characters to act and, you know, once in a while make a check. But I don't get myself all hung up on trying to learn these billion jillion rules of all these different rule sets. I know kind of what settings I like. I know I like some grimdark stuff, and I throw that in there and enjoy my time. And that's what I'm telling you to do too. Find what you like about these games. Do you enjoy the story aspects of them? Do the settings you read and all these maps you look at get you really excited? Then just get into that part of the game and make it how your story and game works, because you're the game master. You can do anything you want and run it however you want. If you for some reason meet players who don't like that, then they're not a player in your game. Boot them. All right, find the players who do enjoy the way you game master. You will, I promise. In fact, I think you'll find most people, for the most part, are so happy just to have a game master, they'll play any damn way that you've created the game. Get in there, get learning, get into all the game master aspects that push your creativity to the next level. Get into all these 10 skills I just talked about that will update and upgrade your life, and have fun. I've been the Inksmith, and I'll get back to you with another video real soon.